Hey guys, just before you listen to this podcast, if you are in the wine, beer, and spirits business and are wondering what you can do in the cannabis space, I would highly recommend you to check out Cannabis Drinks Expo. So Beverage Trade Network does a trade show called Cannabis Drinks Expo in San Francisco every year in July, and this is where the wine, beer, and spirits professionals can learn on how they can leverage into the space. Especially if you're a winery in California, you should really check out cannabisdrinksexpo.com. So let's dive into the podcast. Hey guys, welcome to the Wine, Whiskey and Weed Show. Today I chat with Josh Lizotte, CEO and co-founder of the Rebel Coast Winery, makers of the world's first cannabis-infused wine. Today we're going to talk about the business of cannabis drinks. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Super. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and Rebel Coast Winery, please.
Sure. So brief history on Rebel Coast, started off as a traditional winery, what we consider a virtual winery. So, started in 2012, essentially buy bulk wine on the market, blend it, bottle it, brand it, sell it. So built that out for a number of years to a national, we expanded nationally. So we're in about 36 states. And then in 2017, we had an idea of making a cannabis-infused wine. So my background is from cannabis and finance. My old partner, he was the wine guy, so we linked up and said, "Hey, let's try to make this thing." Did about a year of R&D on it. There's a lot of issues actually combining cannabis and wine. First being, you cannot mix alcohol and cannabis in California; it's illegal. So we had to find a way to extract the alcohol, make the wine taste good, and then infuse it with THC, and THC is not water soluble. It's a resin, it's like an oil. So had to figure that process out as well. So after about a year, we actually came to a product that tastes good. Our cannabis was fully homogeneous and mixed well in it, and finally released it in late 2018.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how many cases or like what sort of volume are we moving right now?
So in 2019, we produced about 2,400 cases of wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the wine business is still on, right? Like you're still selling wine, like without cannabis.
Yeah. So so our Reckless Love and Sunday Funday is still on the market. We actually we sold the labels to one of our original investors in the actual alcohol side of the company, because we decided, hey, let's focus just on cannabis while they pump up the alcohol side. So they're a big wine conglomerate in the U.S. So they actually have the capacity. They have like a 50-person sales team throughout the nation. So they have the capacity and ability to actually build up the alcohol side of it while we can purely focus on the cannabis side.
Understood. So one thing I must say that I love your branding. I mean, the way you guys tell your story, it's so natural and raw. So it's amazing. So let's jump into the business of cannabis. What's your take on cannabis drinks market, Josh? How is it going?
So the beverage market in California for cannabis is still very small compared to the entire market of cannabis in California. It's like maybe 2% right now of the gross sales for drinks. So it's very small. We see it growing. I think it's going to grow exponentially. And so sales, we're not selling as much as the flower company is, right? But I mean, and there's a few reasons for that. Cannabis beverages, I would say, are relatively new in California. Sure, we've had some beverages that have been out for a long time, but they're not of the best quality. They were usually like really high milligram dose, like, oh, this 12-ounce soda has 100 milligrams in it, which is kind of wild. So I think we're transitioning to more quality products that are lower dose. So a lot of education goes into what we do here at Rebel Coast. Most people don't even know why a cannabis beverage is different than, say, a cookie or an edible. How does it interact differently? Especially wine. No one knows what the hell cannabis wine is, because we were the first ones to do it, and we had to educate everybody on it. So education is key. We have to explain, this is a beverage. The THC is going to act differently than it does in an edible. It's going to have different onset. Can
you do like a store tastings at, dispensaries?
Yeah.
Or what are the outlets?
Yeah. So we can't do an infused tasting. What we do, so at a traditional, cannabis dispensary, you can't actually serve a cannabis infused product. But what we do, We actually make a non-infused version of our wine, so it's the same wine that we use, but we don't add the cannabis to it. So we have like an 8-person brand ambassador team that goes throughout California, sets up events at dispensaries, and actually pours a non-infused sample for the consumers and educates them on the product itself, so they can actually try it before they buy it with us.
Got it. What about the channels? Like where all you can sell? Just dispensaries, or what about the direct to consumer?
So just dispensaries. We only can sell licensed dispensaries. We do have a direct to consumer play. We've teamed up with Eve. Eve is one of our delivery partners, and also Ganja Runner. So you can go right onto our website, click buy now, and it links up right to their site. So you can get delivered to your house statewide in California. It's not directly from us, though. It is we team up with a licensed delivery services. So but
legally, can you guys also deliver? Like if someone wants in California a case of wine, cannabis wine, can you also deliver legally?
We cannot. No, we are not licensed then. So we're a licensed manufacturer right now. So we don't have our delivery license. No, it's a whole nother process for us, completing the separate license. And we do not have that right now. That's why we teamed up with these licensed delivery services, so they can fulfill that direct to consumer play.
And it's not like an alcohol where 3-tier system is there. Where I mean, in this, it's just a matter of license, and you can get a license, right, if you want.
Yeah,
nothing's stopping.
Nope, it's just a licensing. Yeah, it's just licensing. So nothing's stopping us from doing it. Besides, I'd say that's not our expertise. We're a manufacturer, we're a brand. We can make the product, brand the market. But the logistics for actually going direct to consumer, it's definitely difficult. Not our forte really. So we leave that to the experts.
True, got it. So I see. Your original background is a lot in funding and finance. Can you walk us through, just some tips on, people who are trying to raise some money, or sort of at least give us an estimate on some things that really, goes into the round of fundings? How do you go about that?
Yeah, first of all, raising money is not like an easy thing. We raised money for the cannabis side of Rebel Coast, when it was just a concept. And a few key things. If you're gonna go out there and raise money, yeah, you're right. I'm from the finance side, so finance and financial projections and pro formas are my thing. So, and actually writing the correct business plan. So, when you go out to raise money, you need to have a very good business plan in place, and also an in-depth, 3-statement financial model. And what I mean by that is you can't just throw out here's going to be my sales numbers for the next 2 years. You need to have a financial model that includes your income statement, a balance sheet, statement of cash flows. So they can at least for 2 or 3 years out. I prefer a 3-year statement. So they have to be reasonable. If you're going to go out there and say, oh, here's my new product, and I'm going to make $5 million in my first 12 months, it's like, come on, any wise investor is going to see right through that, guys. Let's be reasonable. These investors are smart guys. They expect it to not be some huge success right off the bat, But so if you're going to exaggerate your numbers, it's just you need to be realistic for sure. I'm under the mindset, hey, I'd rather, under promise than over promise. Hey, these revenue numbers are going to be smaller than not I'm doing 12 million right now, guys. It's just not. You need to be reasonable and rational when you do this. So first step, good business plan, good product, and a great in-depth 3-statement financial model when you're raising money. And you need to have the right team as well. It's we're not experts at everything. I have my own expertise, but I surround people on my team that are smarter than me at something. They fill the gaps in my expertise. So you need to have the right team behind you, and don't be afraid to hire somebody who's smarter than you. You want them on your team. I see so many guys that get intimidated in middle management. They get intimidated by somebody who's smarter than them. It's dude, that's exactly who I want to surround myself with, who I want on my team.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Right on. Absolutely. So what were the challenges you guys faced, in the business? What surprised you?
Demand was a huge thing. So it was a lot. So, we definitely thought.
So you think that demand is huge and it wasn't there? We
thought it was going to be bigger than it was. We were very, very modest on our projections. Our market penetration, the sell through dispensaries. very, very modest. If you just look at the math, it was very logical and reasonable. But, once that we actually got in, it's like, oh, guys, we actually overshot this by a lot. So, so it was demand. Then there was also logistical issues for dispensaries. So most dispensaries, they're small, right? They're not used to a big, bulky beverage. They're used to,
You mean like the shelf space? They just don't have enough SKUs.
Yeah, they don't have the space for it. So a dispensary can be 1,000 square feet, and that could, they're used to joints and eighths and vape cartridges, which is great for that amount of space. But a case of my wine is like 40 pounds, and it's like a 12-inch cube. It's huge compared to what they're used to. So logistics in inventory space on the retail side, and also logistics and spacing on distribution. Because as a manufacturer, we manufacture the product. It has to be delivered to a licensed distributor, and they're also really not set up for beverages yet. So I'll go make 20 pallets of wine. A pallet's 2,200 pounds, and it's a 5-foot cube. And these distributors have a little Sprinter van where it can fit maybe a pallet. So they have to do 30 runs to pull up the whole batch sometimes. So the industry just was not set up for beverages yet. It's definitely evolving and getting better now. We see bigger trucks coming out. We see dispensaries that are actually becoming have a bigger layouts. They have more space. So they see it's coming. So there's quite a few issues. A lot of on the logistics and space size. People just weren't ready for it. So but it's evolving, and it's definitely getting better nowadays.
Sure. And I think one of the things that I've learned is one of the core problems is the number of dispensaries and the bottleneck issues at the permits, and a lot of licenses are pending and things of that nature, because ultimately it's all going through the dispensaries, right? So end of the day, there are only like 200 or so that you can sell to.
Yeah. So the licensing was definitely a holdup for sure. I know we had our own issues as well. We are licensed now, thankfully. But yeah, you're right. There's just not that many outlets. I think there's around 400 that are licensed in California. Whether they're operating or not is a different question. You may have a license, but you may not be operating yet. So luckily we've actually have pretty good market penetration. We're in about 180, 190 shops right now. So we've definitely had some good penetration. And it grows every month. We could probably grow.
Are you seeing sell-throughs? Are you seeing retailers, dispensaries moving the product, or you really have to support the tastings and so on?
Sell-through is definitely ramping up, but you're absolutely right. We have to support them. Sell-through definitely increases by all of our brand support. We bring our brand ambassadors in there, do the tasting events. We educate their bud tenders and their staff. The dispensaries really need that from a brand. In the beginning, I'd say a year ago or so, we just kind of peppered the market and got into a bunch of dispensaries right away. And that, honestly, it kind of bit us in the ass. We didn't give the brand support we needed to give the retailers. So we cut back, expanded our team, actually started focusing on these little events, and then promoting and increasing sell-through with the dispensaries by, our brand promotions and actually being there for them and doing everything they need us to do. So that's absolutely crucial. We have to support these dispensaries, have to educate the consumers for them, have to educate their bud tenders, do trainings. It's definitely crucial to actually improve that sell-through, because, just having a bunch of market penetration where they might buy, they buy a case of wine every 2 months. That's not what we want to do. We need to increase sell-through, make this a common product for the consumers. So we have to increase sell-through, and that's definitely through brand support to the retailers.
So what do you do to support them? What are the things that you've seen working and ROI positive for you?
So ROI positive. That's how investors like to see the ROI on that.
I guess it still looks like everything is an investment, but I'm sure if I was in the wine business, I used to say buy 10 cases, I'll come Friday and Saturday and do the tasting. It's still ROI positive, but is it all investment right now?
It's pretty much all investment. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of return on all these on the marketing initiatives and brand support initiatives yet. It's a long-term thing. We're not going to see a positive ROI in 30 days. But in 6 months, we were building that rapport with the consumer, building the rapport with the dispensary. We'll then can see a positive ROI. it's more of a long-term thing.
Got it. So you're focusing on being a likable supplier, and then sort of trying to build a horse in your portfolio, and then sort of obviously increasing your portfolio eventually.
Totally, yeah. It's just like, we try to build a brand equity, build brand loyalty with our consumers. So a lot of that comes through dispensary support. We do. So for example, when we bring on a new account, we do it's called a customer appreciation day, where we have a brand ambassador in there doing the tasting. We usually offer some sort of promotion where it's like, it's 15% off Rebel Coast. We do giveaways. We have Rebel Coast shirts and swag and corkscrews. So dispensaries really love that. Everybody loves freebies. So yeah, we do a lot of freebies, giveaways, promotions for the retailers to actually save the consumer. We like to save the consumer some money, so they actually try this product first. They get to taste it, they get a discount, then they actually start liking the product, liking the brand, liking who we are. That improves sell-through and getting consistent customers, and repeat customers is the key thing. So we just really try to build this brand loyalty.
I understand. So Josh, I think what I can envision is one of the objections that I think dispensaries may be saying is, hey, no one's asking for cannabis wine. So how do you overcome that objection?
Yeah. Most people don't know what cannabis wine is. We created a product category. So we come in there and educate. It's like, of course, people don't say, hey, I want this, because they don't even know what's out there. So we just kind of flip it on them. Well, I mean, did you know about it? Hey, people, this is in demand. We can show, hey, we're in this many dispensaries. This is how many new dispensaries we've been onboarded onto in the last 30 days. There is a demand for this. They just don't know what's out there yet. So,
got it. So you walk with proof as well, proof of sales data in other dispensaries and things of that nature.
I wouldn't say exactly sales data. I mean, getting data from dispensaries is definitely hard for compliance and compliance reasons. They don't want to give out sensitive information. But I mean, it's easy to prove, like, hey, these are the dispensaries we're in. I mean, most dispensaries do know who we are. We built a name for ourselves so far. So yeah, I mean, we can definitely show them the number of dispensaries we're currently in and our new accounts for the last 30 days. And that's usually enough, And that usually gets us in the door. And it starts off slow. They're going to order 2 cases. They're going to order a case of our rosé and a case of our Sauv Blanc, right off the bat. So then we can take a small order. Let us prove to you this is needed in your dispensary, and it can sell. So we go in there, give them a small order, and then you do our customer appreciation days, do some promos, and actually show them, hey, this is our sell-through. It's actually working, and then we pump them up on our social media. So we just, we actually prove to them that, hey, this will sell, and your consumers want this product.
Got it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot do floor displays in dispensaries, right? It's not like a liquor store. It all is behind the counter. Is that true? Or
no?
How does the merchandise?
So that all depends on it's usually like a city by city or county by county rule on that one. I mean, some dispensaries. So take Harborside, for example. I'm not sure if you've been up there in Oakland. But you can walk around with literally like a hand basket, like a shopping basket, and walk around and just grab things and put them in your basket and go up to the front to buy it. Yeah. So every city, that's kind of a city or county rule. So we do have displays. We do, for example, we have branded wine fridges we deliver to our dispensary partners, and it sits on a nice Rebel Coast wine barrel. So we have a wine barrel with a wine fridge on top. So that's our branding, and people can actually go in there and grab it if that's allowable in that city. All depends on the city. So yeah, for branding and merchandising and retail merchandising, that's huge. We definitely have to. It's having shelf space. So it's one easy way to people to know who you are and know you have our product. It's like, oh yeah, we're actually displayed so people can see it. We don't have to be there on site, or someone that doesn't have to recommend it. It's just like, oh, what is this? There's a wine here. So it's great. We do that a lot.
Nice. And who do you compete with normally? Is there any? Are you really competing with any sort of cannabis beverages, like even water or any other infused? I've not seen, to be honest. We do this trade show, right? Like Cannabis Drinks Expo. But to be honest, when I walk into the dispensaries, I hardly see cannabis beverages still.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand what's the landscape of this category.
Yeah. So I mean, on a grand scale, there's really not that many brands. So at the Drinks Expo, we were there. There's a bunch of brands there, but a lot of them weren't on the market yet.
Yeah, there were like 80. I mean,
Yeah,
we have like 80 exhibitors even this time.
Yeah, I probably tried 40 different products when I was there, but most of those were not on the market yet, and still are not on the market.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got
and if they
so
are,
do you think all those kind of guys are going to be the competitors in one way? Like soon it will be like a wine store where they'll say, I only can put 4 CBD drinks. Is it all going to be in like one sort of category called cannabis drinks category as far as the dispensary guy is seeing, or it's going to be, or are they at a level where they actually see, okay, cannabis wine, I have one, cannabis water, I have one. How mature is this category?
It's not mature at all. Not mature at all. Right now we're all just lumped in. I guess we're kind of different. We're a wine. It's kind of different. It's one big thing is it's multi-serving, right? It's 4 glasses in a bottle. So it's different, but still, as a whole, I'd say we're all just lumped into cannabis drinks, cannabis beverages. But that may evolve, over the next 12, 24 months. They may be like, oh yeah, this is cannabis wine. These are cannabis water. These are cannabis sodas. They may be differentiated, and the dispensaries may say, oh, I'm only going to carry, 2, 3 of each or something. But we won't really know yet until it evolves more.
True. I think what I'm seeing is it's really more distribution and outlets. Like the more dispensaries we have, I think, this whole category is just going to grow. I mean, it's just less dispensaries, to be honest, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's not that many, I mean, a few years back, just in the medical market, there was thousands, and now we have, under 500 that are licensed.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. What's your plan on new states? Let's say Illinois is opened up now, I guess. So how do you approach new states distribution? Like, do you have to set up a contract partner there, or what's your strategy on new distribution?
Yeah, so we are definitely expanding our brand in 2020. So there's a couple ways you go about it. It's like, okay, yeah, you can get your own cannabis license, which is expensive, very capital intensive, or you do like a licensing deal, which is what we're looking at. Essentially, we've been vetting partners in multiple states that actually have the space and the capacity to make our products. And it's essentially a licensing deal. They follow our ingredients, they use our SOPs. It's our brand, so it's the same. They're just manufacturing it in that state to be completely compliant. We can't cross state lines, and we can sell. We can ship out our non-alcoholic wine or any other product to them. It just can't be infused. So they do all the infusing and bottling on site in that state.
So does it make sense for especially you guys to bottle with a wine bottler who can apply for cannabis license, or like, because wine and bottling plants are completely different than, like a normal co-packer? Yeah.
So, so most like wine, or alcohol beverage companies, there a lot of them are not applying for cannabis licenses, especially if they're publicly traded. So most of these are just cannabis, cannabis manufacturers, cannabis distributors, and co-packers. It's them, and then they'll have to acquire the right production and bottling and canning lines for our products.
Understood.
Yeah.
What's your feel on Chicago?
I want to be in Chicago. I think Illinois is going to be a great state for cannabis.
Yeah, and there are some rumors happening with New York, New Jersey. Any legal updates you guys get where you can, what sort of movement? Like I can only see like this opening up to more states, right? I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we do have a pretty aggressive expansion plan. We are looking at New York. I think they're trying to change their laws in 2020, 2021. But Illinois is very appealing to us. Michigan is also a very good market. Massachusetts is doing extremely well. So there's a few key states. It's still expensive for us to do this and expand nationwide. So we are just looking at a few key large states that the product will actually resonate with the consumer. We're probably not going to go to Arkansas, but we're looking at the bigger states, bigger metropolitan areas, where this is actually all of our current products and future products will work well with those demographics.
Got it. So Josh, let's go a little tactical, right? So you told me that this is what you do to the dispensaries. Like, how do you train your salespeople? What do you tell them to tell dispensaries to get that meeting, to get that product pitched?
Luckily, it's pretty easy for us to pitch because it's like, hey, we're cannabis, we're Rebel Coast, we have cannabis wine. So there's usually not a lot of pushback to actually get the meeting, right? But yeah, so we have a full like training manual for our staff, for our brand ambassadors and our sales team. It goes into it's a brief history of Rebel Coast. Why are we making this product? How are we making this product? Why is it different? And then there's definitely some tips on like pushback. Every rep is going to have some sort of pushback from the dispensary, from the buyer.
What is a pushback? Like a kickback? Like an incentive?
No, like pushback. Like, why should I carry?
Oh, like an objection.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, why would I carry this product? It's too big. My demographic doesn't want it. So we help them overcome those issues. You just have answers back. I still personally do ride-alongs with our staff, so I'll go to the dispensaries with our staff, with our sales reps, and actually, help them along the way. If they get some pushback, they can see how I interact with the buyer.
What are the pushbacks? Like, can we dive into that?
Yeah,
just a couple.
Size, it's too big, right? It's too big. It's glass, fragile. My demographic's not going to like that. Or, hey, I don't like it, so my consumers aren't going to like it. So the list goes on what the objections are. And a lot of them are easy to overcome. It's just like a reason. With these buyers and managers, it's like, hey, okay, yeah. So you don't know if your demographic's going to like it until you try it, right? You just got to give it a try. So, and just because you don't like it as a buyer doesn't mean your consumers aren't going to like it. So it's easy to turn things around.
Legally, can you pick up the cases back, or once it's sold, it's done? Like, can you tell them that, hey, if it doesn't sell in 60 days, I'll pick it up and give you the credit back?
Yeah, there is a return process through the dispensary to the distributor. That is possible. It's never happened to us before, but yes, it's definitely possible. Like, hey, this isn't selling. Can I just get a return? Or it's a return or a credit. Don't know the exact terminology. We don't do the distribution ourselves. We're a manufacturer, but yes, they can return it, from my understanding.
Got it. And how big of how many salespeople you have?
On the floor statewide, we have there's 6 right now going at it. There's 6 right now.
So they basically have their own routes. Like, they knock the doors, they knock dispensaries, right? You don't have a distributor where you just give them like you are the distributor basically, right?
No. So we do team up with a distributor and utilize their sales team, but they're part of the same portfolio of companies. So we took some investment from a big private equity firm, and so did this company. So we all consider ourselves one family. So we all work together. They actually distribute the product, and they're not directly employed by Rebel Coast, but they're a Rebel Coast sales rep. I still talk to them every day. Still very hand in hand. We're not just saying like, okay, yeah, here's our product, and you guys figure it out. Like, we are a very hands-on brand. They're not directly employed by us, but you would have no idea that they're not, because we're so seamless and integrated.
Yeah. Got it. Cool, Josh. Great. Just one last question. Like, can you please give some tips for the young cannabis drinks entrepreneurs on how do they go about distribution and sales and marketing overall? Just some lessons that you've learned.
Yeah, on the distribution side, definitely you need to vet if you're going to go the distributor route, you need to vet them extensively. That was one of our hiccups. A year and a half, 2 years ago, we had some distributor issues where we teamed up with somebody we thought was great, and they actually turned out to be a completely BS. And we found out about 2 months later, it had to end up getting all our product back. So you really need to vet your distributor, make sure they have specific guidelines and milestones that they have to meet. Don't just think that, oh yeah, they're going to take all your product and sell your product for you. They're not going to do all the work. You need to be hand in hand. You need to be on top of them and working directly with them to make sure that your brand is going to succeed. And for the marketing and branding, you need to find out who your demographic is. I think it's safe to say we are one of the most unique and kind of brash brands in cannabis, and in general. So we just know our demographic. So as a brand, you need to know who your demographic is. Make sure you're marketing it the correct way. And just because you yourself or your marketer likes something doesn't mean the whole consumer base is going to. So have the right team. Look at all marketing from all angles. Put on different hats, different demographic hats, different gender hats, everything, just to make sure you're touching all the bases and your marketing and branding is actually going to resonate with the consumer base that you're actually targeting.
Got it. Fantastic, Josh. Super. I think one of the things personally I really love about your company is, as I said, the marketing. I mean, it's just so raw and authentic. That's the message it's sending.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we live by the brand. I mean, this isn't, our brand is not made in a corporate boardroom. This is us. Like, we are Rebel Coast. We live this way.
I mean, you guys drive that personality, which I can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff on Instagram, that's our main platform for actually our marketing. That's just us. That's just kind of how we live. Most of it's not staged. I mean, it's just like we're out having fun. I mean, that's who we are. We live by the brand.